Hey guys, it's Jordan from JordanGrayConsulting.com, and today we're going to be talking about how to feel your feelings. Now, feeling your emotions sounds like the kind of topic that people would know how to inherently do, but I find that at least in adulthood, usually the opposite is the case. There's very frequently stored negative emotions still in our bodies that we have yet to feel. Some common examples could be, maybe you were bullied for years in your childhood, or maybe you were sexually assaulted, or maybe you just had a really tough year one year where a lot of things seemed to rain down on you at the same time and you never really gave yourself the time to process and feel all the things that came up within you as a result of that challenging time. If this emotional muscle in your body is kind of weakened from misuse, there's a way that you can turn it back on to feel the feelings, and by feeling the sadness, frustration, anger, grief, etc. that's stored inside of you, then you will experience less stress, anxiety, depression, frustration, a lot of psychological and physiological health conditions that are purely just a result of the stored negative emotions, the stored unfelt feelings that still live inside of your body. So the first thing that you want to do to feel your unfelt feelings is to create the time and space to allow yourself to feel it. Again, these stored negative emotions live inside of your body because there was a time where you didn't feel like you had the deserving or permission to feel them at that time. And so you now kind of retroactively have to feel those feelings for the old version of yourself that didn't feel like they were allowed to. So this literally means, breaking off a chunk of time in your calendar, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes, and just being with yourself. And, ideally being somewhere, standing's hard. A good place to be is sitting or lying down on your bed or in a pile of pillows or blankets, somewhere soft, somewhere where you're comfortable. And you want to make sure that there's no distractions that could push their way into your life. Let your roommate or girlfriend or spouse or whoever might physically intrude on your practice to know, hey, I'm going to be doing this for an hour. I might cry, I might scream, I might release some anger. I'm fine, you don't need to check on me, I'm doing my own thing. Obviously turn off your phones and anything that could beep its way into your life during the hour. And yeah, just really set aside some sacred space for, okay, I'm here to just feel my feelings. The second step is to use external triggers to have the emotions come to the surface. Now, this will vary per person. You can, look at old photographs of, again, whatever the biggest emotional triggers are for you, whether it's a former relationship partner or a friend or family member who passed away, or, for me, one thing that I always use is video clips of soldiers coming home from the army, either to their spouses or to their moms or to their dogs, just like that moment of someone being missed so much and, oh, this person that I love so much. It always gets me and gets the ball rolling in my emotional processing. But yeah, photos, videos, old songs that remind you of sad times, or even if you want to kind of build the bridge from your mind to your heart, one tactic that I really enjoy is finding, I kind of picture this like mining for oil in your emotional body, finding the exact words or the phrase or the sentence that most pokes the unresolved wound or the unfelt feelings inside of you. So, for example, if you were bullied in childhood, then saying something, either writing it down or verbally saying it out loud repeatedly on the lines of, when I was a little boy or girl, I felt so alone, or I felt like the world didn't want me, or I thought that everyone hated me, and really micro-calibrating to the exact phrase that hits that pain point the most inside of you. Or again, if you lost one of your parents and that's what you're processing, saying something like, I miss my dad so much, or I wish my sister would come back, blah, blah, blah. I wish I could say, I love you one more time. Again, find the exact thing that makes the most sense to you, and that kind of intellectual, cognitive way to connect with your emotions is really efficient. And when you find that exact phrasing, you want to say it repeatedly or write it repeatedly until you've felt all the feelings, whether you've cried out all the sadness or screamed out all the anger, punched some pillows, whatever you need to do to move through whatever unique emotion comes up for you. You want to, again, kind of mine as much oil, emotional oil, as there is for that exact thing, and then either shift the words around slightly to see if you can bring up more, or eventually it won't trigger a response, and that's when you know that you've kind of tapped that well dry and actually felt what there is to feel there. So the third thing you want to do after you have started to like use and incorporate these external triggers is you want to locate the emotions in your body. Very frequently, they'll physically live somewhere in our body, whether it's, you know, in our throat or around our solar plexus or gut or lower abdomen, you know, physically finding if it has a home inside of you, and, you know, finding, going, okay, you know, physically poke and go, here I feel sadness, or right now this part of me feels anger. If you find it a bit challenging to locate and access that emotion, one thing that you might need to do is stand up and physically move. So do some kind of like, you know, kind of swishing and swaying dance movement, or one thing that I do that kind of looks like a shake weight kind of thing is I'll take my hands and I'll do this when I like know that I'm on the verge of feeling the emotion. I kind of like shake it out of me, like I just coax it out by like getting my torso and shoulder blades engaged by doing that, and for me that always works. The next step, once you've located and named the emotions, is you want to breathe into them and encourage them to be there. So again, this is kind of the antithesis of what you likely had done, which is why there's stored negative emotions inside of you. Instead of going, oh, here's a feeling, I need to like shelve that and not feel it for, you know, today or for years, and, you know, actively repressing it, what we want to do is breathe into it, sink into your body, really allow the emotion to be there. And you can even start that dialogue with the emotion and encourage it to be there. You know, one phrase that I often use is, you have a home here. So if I locate sadness in a certain part of my gut, and I'll just go, sadness, you have a home here. You know, you're allowed to be here. Instead of, you know, if my former self was very good at kind of, you know, making it just like a sidebar thing, oh, I'll get to you later, we'll schedule a meeting some other time 10 years from now. You know, doing the opposite of that, of really allowing it to be there. And that act of acceptance is kind of the surrender that allows us to really drop into it and feel our way through it. And the last step is to just feel the entirety of the feeling. You know, instead of allowing yourself to feel 20% of it and then going, okay, cool, I felt something, I had a tear hit my jawline, that's enough progress for today. You really want to feel your way to the bottom of whatever the emotional content is that you're being given that day. You know, especially with some heavier, more repressed trauma, you know, there's no sense in me pretending like, oh, you can just like sit down and cry for half an hour and just completely be absolved of your deepest traumas. This is a process. You know, I've known friends, clients, family members that had old repressed trauma that they had to actively chip away at for, you know, 5 to 8 months. And by that I don't mean they were sitting down and crying for 8 hours a day for 8 months, but it was something they had to frequently revisit. You know, if you picture like a huge pile of sawdust, you can only really move one shovelful at a time, and that's kind of what this process looks like. Is you take the chunk that's available to you in that moment, you do what you can with it, you feel the feelings, you scream, you punch pillows if it's anger, you lay down and sob in the fetal position and cry out all the tears that you can access that day. And that's, you know, that's doing your best. That's doing what you can do for that day. And then doing another session the next day or 3 to 5 days later, if you need some reprieve or a break, is totally fine. But it's not an endless pit. You know, emotions do not go on forever. You will feel your way to the end of the sadness or the trauma. You know, a lot of people feel like, oh, what if I just get stuck here? What if this is my new modus operandi, my way of being, that I'll just, if I allow myself to feel the sadness, it will take me over and I'll be a victim of it for the entirety of my life. And, you know, just like there's no storm in weather patterns that last for eternity, there's no emotion that lasts forever in your body. You know, the only way to guarantee that it will stay there is by not feeling your way through it. So by proactively saying, I'm gonna sit down and feel this emotion, that is the way through it. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and got something out of it. And if you're someone who is prone to suppressing emotions chronically, then maybe bookmark this video, because this is one of the things that you want to continually come back to as life continues to throw shit at you. So I'm Jordan from jordangrayconsulting.com. If you like this, give it a like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. I think that's what people say at the end of these videos. And yeah, I will continue to put out things going forwards. All right, thanks for watching.